What up, everybody? It's Thursday. I don't think we're on yet. Oh, there we are. Yep, here we are. Last stream of the week. And it is raining in California. It is, that does not happen often here. When it does, we all just get sad and confused. Good morning, Karen. You're first again today. You've reclaimed the throne. Cheers to you. We're in the same time zone, right, Karen? You're in, you don't have to say specifically where you live if you don't want to do that, but I'm pretty sure we're in the same time zone. Angie, you're very close. You're third. Mike, howdy. Good to see you. Roland, good morning. I meant to pull something up and I didn't. There it goes. Okay. You guys are sending in some stuff. We're going to have a fun end of the week. And we're going to have a fun topic today, too. What's up, Lee? I don't know what your comment means, but it must be something I didn't see yet. What's up, Celeste? Angie, I hope you're enjoying San Diego. I hope it's not raining there. If you're a Boston person, and which, by the way, I'll be in Boston in the summer. We're gonna be doing a show in Boston. And if you came to SoCal for vacation, Karen, you're in Portland. I thought so. Good morning, good morning, Malaysia. Morning. I would still consider it evening. I mean, I know it isn't, like it technically isn't, but I still consider 2 a.m. evening. Because I am very much a night owl. What's up, Mystic, fellow punk rocker? Good to see ya. Good morning, Long Beach. Long Beach, the show starts at 9:30 tonight. I don't know if that alters your plans at all. If maybe you can come out. Be cool if you could. Jennifer, you're sick. I'm sorry to hear that. Susan, hello. Good morning. Good to see ya. Yep, coming to Boston, Angie. What up, Rob? D, what's up? Toronto. Good to see ya. I love your city. Say hi to the Maple Leafs for me. Kate, Ron, can you talk about the future about HUD and how they're supposed to be the ones in charge of affordable housing? Nobody talks about them. It goes straight to rent control. It's their job. Yeah, send me something about it. Mystic Warrior, cruise with us when you get to Gainesville, Florida. January 9th, Mystic Warrior. I hope I see you there. Howdy, Chris. Good to see you. In Long Beach. I'm sorry you're missing cake. Matthew, what's up, buddy? And Mystic, I really hope I'm going to see you January 9th in Gainesville, Florida. Guys, we're over 30. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys tweet me articles, you send them to me, you post ideas in the Reddit, and that's how we build this show. I'm seeing everything for the first time. Join the chaos. Welcome to the chaos. And we always start out with a topic. What's my topic today? Well, guys, Joe Kennedy was in the press recently talking about how we need a moral capitalism. And, I thought about this morning while I was having my woke coffee and eating my socially conscious cereal. And I was also, the other night, I flossed with my my sexually ambiguous dental floss. And I was also using my midlife crisis toothbrush. And I've come to the conclusion that I think moral capitalism is just an oxymoron that makes no sense, has no meaning whatsoever, and it's just kind of more verbal diarrhea coming out of Joe Kennedy's mouth, a mouth that has blatantly misused chapstick on it, although we don't know that chapstick might be pro-choice. That chapstick might be pro-choice, but it is for sure against the drug war. Joe Kennedy. Moral capitalism. You know, when Dick Cheney said compassion conservative. We knew he was full of shit, but that was a warmongering conservative saying that. This is a Democrat saying moral capitalism. Capitalism is set up to not be moral. That's how it's set up. It's set up to just make as much profit, to maximize productivity no matter the cost, and it always has the same flaws. I watched a video on capitalism once that was trying to be, quote, objective, and it basically just said, you know, in every instance where capitalism's been tried, it's had the same critiques. Eventually, there's this inequality gap that is too big to surmount, and we have to do something about it. If only we could find a way. Like, no, there is no way. That's what capitalism is set up to do. That's what it is set up to do. So it's either going to be kind of predatory or super predatory. One of the two. But it's never going to be anything other than that. It doesn't make any sense. Moral capitalism, what does that mean? Maybe Joe Kennedy explains what it means. Let's go to this article. Joe Kennedy said Democrats should embrace moral capitalism. Look at this. Why is this big-ass picture necessary? Boston Globe, really? Why do we need to see this much of his face? By the way, apparently people that look like myself and Joe Kennedy, we're going to be extinct soon. Gingers are going extinct. I don't know if there's anything to that scientifically. It might just kind of be folklore, but apparently we're not going to exist. Because I guess we're not breeding with each other. And my fiance is not a ginger, so I'm not going to do my part as far as continuing the ginger lineage. I don't know if I'm going to have kids anyway, but if I do, you know, they may or may not be ginger kids because I would be breeding with a non-ginger. Anyway, U.S. Representative Joe Kennedy urging his fellow Democrats to adopt a new economic ideology. He's calling it moral capitalism. The push is a rebuke to what he described as the trickle-down, feed-the-top, if you're struggling, try harder narrative of conservatives. How is it different, Joe? It sounds nicer. How is it different? Let's see if he tells us. So he talks about Donald Trump and how Donald Trump's bad. Very, very brilliant insights from Joe Kennedy. He knows that Donald Trump's a douche. Good. Wow. So politically astute, this guy. His, referring to Donald Trump, is a country of bitter rivalry between fellow citizens. All right. My wages can't grow unless your food stamps grow up. Your medical bills, okay. So Americans spend their days fighting each other over economic crumbs, while our system is quietly hand-delivers the entire pie to those at the top. Okay, so what's your alternative, Joe? What are you going to do differently? Nothing here. For years, the left has failed to offer a competing, compelling economic vision. If by left you mean the establishment you're part of, Joe Kennedy, that's very true. We'll have to do more than tax the rich to meet our needs in infrastructure, childcare, healthcare, college, and climate change. Right, those higher taxes need to be implemented the proper way. So even though that sentence is just a pretty much bullshit cop-out and could be used as an excuse to not tax the rich, just taking at face value, okay, that makes a little bit of sense. So far you've said next to nothing. Well, the 30, all right, I don't give a shit about his family. All right, that didn't help him. All right, he campaigned for Beto O'Rourke. That worked out great. Beto couldn't beat Ted Cruz. Kennedy, first elected to Congress in 2012, said the country's widening wealth gave debats to the 60s and 70s. That's true. Okay. But what is he going to do about it? He said the federal government responded by letting the private sector... Okay, that's all true. He said, well, American capitalism has lifted millions out of poverty. That's not true. Its current version is broken. No, that's what capitalism is, Joe. Clearly you have an okay grasp on history, with some younger people eyeing socialism as a better alternative. It's not the first time Kennedy has adopted a more moderate tone. No, because he's right-wing. That's what moderate is code for. Okay. So we don't know what this moral capitalism is. We don't know what it is. He's pointing out a couple problems that are accurate. Yes, in the 60s and 70s, with the rise of neoliberalism, the working class lost their footing. That's true. He knows it's true. He's pointing out that we've handed pretty much everything to the private sector. That's true. We know it's true. He's saying that the rise in the middle class is because of American capitalism. That's not true. Unchecked American capitalism gave us the Great Depression. And then we had FDR bail us out with socialist-style policies. So what he just said, that's not true. And we had strong unions for a long time. Then they got gutted. So no, American capitalism did not lift people out of poverty. Capitalism was bailed out, and the fix was temporary. Because eventually it got gutted. And I love my cat. So we were trying to figure out what moral capitalism was. We still don't know. I don't know what it is. Other than an oxymoron. Well, I do know what it is. It's an oxymoron. What is it, Joe? What is it? I'd love it if Joe Kennedy came on this show and explained it. Pasta, try to book Joe Kennedy. Because I'm curious. What is it? What is moral capitalism besides an oxymoron? The capitalism, every time we try it, it just has the same... Yeah, because that's what it's set up to do. That's like you have a wolf who is eating sheep, and you're like, we just need to get some vegan wolves. Like, no, they're wolves. That's what they're gonna do. This is what capitalism is set up to do. And it's just a system. How can you apply morals? It makes no sense what he said. It is that... Am I wrong? Because now, I mean, this is our topic for the day. Is moral capitalism a thing? Please, if you disagree, let me know. Explain it to me. Moral capitalism, how is that a thing? It's not. Capitalism is set up to do the same thing. There are different versions of many isms. That's why, you know, like I don't necessarily subscribe to one particular only ism, because there are a lot of subsets under that umbrella. However, capitalism is always set up to do the same thing. It's always set up to just give more power to the top, less to everyone else, widening the economic gaps to the point of inequality that's remnant of ancient Egypt, which is where we're at now. When you look at every moment throughout history, that's what capitalism is set up to do. All right, so let's see what you guys are saying. Maybe I'm missing something, and moral capitalism is a great thing. Marcia Smith points out, moral capitalism, just like compassionate conservative. Yes, exactly. We mentioned that earlier. Moral capitalism is as much a thing as a truly free market. It's a supernatural belief system, Slow News Day says. Moral capitalism is like regular capitalism, only with more platitudes. Corey nailed it. Ron, it's a typo. He's calling for mortal capitalism. Balthazar says, nice one, Balthazar. That's funny. I like it. Jennifer points out, vegan carnivore sounds like a cool band. Jennifer, you're absolutely freaking right. Just a normal guy. Table manners for cannibals. All right, so I'm writing this shit down. What we got to do, we got to have vegan carnivore is going to be the band. The album is going to be Table Manners for Carnivores. You know what we need to start doing? Or for cannibals. Excuse me. Cannibals. Because, guys, that's freaking brilliant. And please email me so I can properly credit you on a future stream when we talk about this further. Email me, ronplacone.com. Which, by the way, I'm getting a new and improved ronplacone.com soon, which I'm pretty excited about. Chris says, moral capitalism is keeping the exploitation but having pride parades with cops and being nicer to minorities while bombing minorities overseas. Story Grub says, that's like saying honest politician. Touche, well done, Story Grub. Or military intelligence, Chili says. Russian bot volunteers to play sax in that band. You know, Russian bot, I heard in Soviet Russia, sax plays you. Table manners for cannibals is pretty brilliant, says Red Economics. I agree. All right, let me scroll up just so I can... Just a normal average guy. You might be just a normal average guy, but that was an above average album title. Table Manners for Cannibals. That's really freaking good. Email me so I can give you proper credit. 'Cause that's awesome. Laura Powers, capital is another word for optimal. Interesting. Angie gives a shout out for Jesse Ventura. I just did Jesse's show, and it's supposed to air tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. I'll tweet about it, so keep an eye on my Twitter. But I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do Jesse's show tomorrow. Or well, I recorded it already. I'm pretty sure it comes out tomorrow. Jennifer brings up socialist libertarian. Let's see what else you guys are saying. So I guess no one thinks that moral capitalism is a thing on this stream. Julie points out capitalism is based on slavery and destruction. Jennifer says, this is Joe Kennedy's potential for momentum moment. That's funny and very accurate. D. Canuck, moral capitalism is supposed to sound like fair trade. Just a normal average guy also says, bankers just need more ethics training. So, Joe Kennedy, you're welcome on this show to explain what the hell moral capitalism is. In this article that we just went through, he doesn't say what it is. Like, we don't know what it is. He doesn't actually say what it is. Because it's not real. It's fake. It's an oxymoron. It's a mindless platitude. And this is the same as compassionate conservative, but it's a Democrat doing it now. We have this insane predatory system with wealth disparity unforeseen. And the Democrat solution is just a nonsensical more of the same. It's the equivalent of, I'm going to tell Wall Street to cut it out. It's the equivalent of, well, if we had a tabula rasa, we'd do the right thing. It's the equivalent of compassionate conservative. It's the equivalent of fighting for peace. It's the equivalent of fucking for virginity. It's nonsense. It's a platitude. And when the history books are written, this will be seen as a very, very dark time. And hopefully, if we make a better turn, politicians like Joe Kennedy will not be celebrated. I certainly hope so. Because otherwise, I don't know what humanity's going to look like, but I know it ain't going to look good. But, later today, I'm going to go to my environmentally conscious anti-fracking gym. It's just so dumb. Just applying this to us says, we just need to try moral capitalism. Along with our vegan wolves. All right. Let's go back to the fires. By the way, we're having a lot of stuff going on here in California. It's raining today. I don't know if you guys can hear it. It's raining. Like, big time raining. We don't know what to do when that happens. Everything. I have... My drain is clogged and my fridge is leaking. It's like everything's going to go wrong at once here at my apartment. And, the guy called and he's like, everything's topsy-turvy because of the rain. I'm like, okay. I get that there's water coming out of the sky, so it just screws up your routing, I guess. I don't know. But he's like, I might not be able to come until like midnight. But I'm like, he didn't say midnight. He said like 4 or 5. But I'm like, really, dude? This is all right. So anyway, but this is getting us back to the fire. Let's see what's going on here. David sends this over. Judge to utility. Explain any role in deadly California fire. All right. A U.S. judge overseeing a criminal case against Pacific Gas and Electric Company. And keep in mind, we talked about this earlier in the week. They were the people, they had this random outage, and all of a sudden the fire happened. They had these cable lines down, all of a sudden fire happened. Asked the utility company to explain any role it may have played in the massive wildfire that destroyed a Northern California town. Judge William Alsop in San Francisco directed PG&E in a court filing to respond to a series of questions about the power line and safety in wildfires. Investigators have not determined the cause of the wildfire that began and tore through the town of Paradise. Speculation, however, has centered around PG&E, which reported an outage around the time and place the fire ignited. Gee! Another line also malfunctioned a short time later, possibly sparking a second fire. Gee, I don't know, guys. I mean, really, let's not jump to conclusions. Let's give these guys the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure it might be totally coincidental. It might just be... And that's nice of the judge. What role did you play? That's like when you're not gonna punish a kid, but you like have a talk with them anyway. Like what do you think you did wrong? Well, I didn't. Well, did you learn your lesson? But I think I did. Okay, we'll let you off the hook this time, but next time. So we'll see. Hopefully, they'll actually face some consequences. I doubt it. But right now, the judge is asking them what role they played. We can't possibly figure this out. So you tell us, what role did you play? Guess we'll see what happens here. Thank you for sharing that, David, and we will keep an eye on all this because I hope they face some real consequences. Presidential candidate Andrew Yang talks about AI and a universal payout. All right. So Andrew Yang is the CEO and founder of Venture for America and just so happens to be running for president in 2020. So today, here's an interview with him. Yang has been a serial entrepreneur for decades now and is driven by statistics and data. He believes that common jobs will be replaced by AI. And to combat the loss of jobs, he came up with a freedom dividend where everyone between the ages of 18 and 64 will receive $1,000 every month. He mentions that retail jobs are the most common jobs in America. And since the introduction of online shopping and more important, Amazon, large retailers are being forced to close their doors, which means fewer jobs for the average American. Another job is truck drivers are going, self-driving trucks. Okay. So let's see here. What's his answer? I propose a universal basic income of $1,000 per American adult, which I have christened the freedom dividend because Americans like the word freedom. But how will we pay for some? Okay, the headline cost would be $2.4 trillion a year. Sounds like a lot, but for context, okay. On top of that, Yang accounted for the $800 billion we currently spend on welfare programs, plus the economic growth we would experience by giving Americans the freedom dividend. With the rise of AI, there will be an introduction to new jobs. But as Yang mentioned, those jobs won't be suitable for the people whose jobs were replaced in the first place. By the number, it is definitely creating... You know what? We're going to go through this thing, and then we're going to talk about it, because I want to get your guys' thoughts on this, because I know this dude is running for president. By the numbers, it's definitely creating jobs, but it's creating smaller numbers of different jobs in different places for different people with different skills than the folks that are being displaced. That's quite a mouthful. I wonder if Yang took a breath when he said all that. With the freedom dividend, Yang mentions that people will have the ability to get trained in a new skill. Next, he talked about millennials, how they get a bad name for things that are out of their control. Well, that's true. Young people are very concerned about their future. All right, they're graduating with debt, and the worst is we blame young people for this. They don't really have opportunities. That's me talking, not him. College is 2.5 times more expensive. All right, Yang, so maybe something like free college should be on your agenda. Lastly, Yang mentions that there are studies where a universal payout would make people's lives better. Okay, and give more people confidence. Okay, so I'm going to go to you guys because I'm curious your thoughts. After reading this, and I'm still learning about Yang, I don't know much about him yet. Based on solely this article alone, I like him less. Based on this article alone. Now, I'm not saying... Now, this doesn't say anything about any of his policy ideas. And I don't feel like doing an entire profile on the guy. We're just talking about strictly this article. Strictly this article. I'm not as big of a fan as the other things. Like, I've been hearing other things. I'm not as big of a fan based strictly on this article. First of all, if AI is going to be that much of a massive replacement, how is anyone going to live on strictly $1,000 a month? I don't see that as a possibility. Second, I do favor a UBI. However, I also favor a massive jobs bill, and I think that guaranteed employment is even more important. This guy seems to be just surrendering at that very idea, which we need to rebuild our roads. Who's going to do that? Robots are going to do that? We could build a massive rail in this country. Who's going to do that? Are robots going to do that? We're going to need people maintaining these. Now, as he points out, that's not going to help. You're going to need people that are very skilled in that and have an educational background in that degree. Well, gee, if we had something like free college, wouldn't more people be able to take advantage of those opportunities? And maybe more people could be skilled in that regard? We're going to need people overseeing the AI. But if someone has nothing except for $1,000 a month, how are they going to be able to live anywhere? So, and I get it. This interview was more focused strictly on AI, so he probably didn't dive into other areas so much in the interview. I understand that. That's why I'm very careful to say, like, I'm not writing him off. I'm basing it solely on this article. But based solely on this article, I'm not super into the guy. I mean, you know, I abide by what Nicholas Carr says in The Shallows, that the technology is not going anywhere. Trying to fight it is futile. I do think that's just true. But to make it out like AI is going to have this massive replacement without any will to fight it. I mean, first of all, there are some areas where you should fight it. It's better to have employees at a fast food establishment or a food establishment than a kiosk. First of all, you get more shit on your hands. We talked about that yesterday, if you guys remember. There's shit everywhere on these kiosks where you touch tone your order. So I do think it is. For a large number of reasons, it's way better to have actual people there. So let me see what you guys are saying. Am I being unfair? And again, I'm talking strictly this article. This is not a complete snapshot of him as a candidate. But, you know, I'm not a huge fan of what I'm hearing here. And I favor UBI, but I think that this is kind of too incremental of an answer. Russianbot points out, if you give people a UBI with no regulations on real estate, landlords will quickly absorb it all. That is true, and that is one of the things we need to account for. That's why another thing I mentioned, I don't just mention a jobs thing. The other thing that we've talked about whenever we mention UBI is we say we need to have very, very strict rent control. So let's see. Dalton says this plan is just shiny bubblegum, not substance. Corporations already get UBI in the form of endless handouts. That's true. Yang is all right. R.C. Higgins says Yang is all right, not president, perhaps a Treasury Secretary under Bernie Sanders. Also, a better name for his plan would be Social Security for all. Snork, if you want to send Andrew as a guest, please just email me, ronplaco.com. Please just email me, and I will send it to Pasta, who helps me book the guests. All right, let's go back to this. So yeah, I mean, you know, this isn't a snapshot of his entire candidacy, but I'm not necessarily impressed with some of the solutions he's calling for here. I think they're not quite enough. They're a little bit too little, and I think it's kind of given an abbreviated snapshot of our overall economy. But again, you know, it's within the context of one interview, so I'm not trying to be unfair or, you know, too hard on that guy. All right, so I wanted to do a quick follow-up, and then I'll go back to the Twitter. I wanted to do a quick follow-up on what's going on with that Guardian article. We talked about it Tuesday. We talked about it. That was when it hit. And that Guardian article about Julian Assange had many holes in it. Did not add up for a number of reasons. First of all the sources were just these anonymous sources. Second of all, if Paul Manafort was in the embassy, there would be cameras everywhere. We would have some documented proof. Why are we just hearing about it now? Third of all, it was written by Luke Harding, who has been unmasked multiple times, wrote a book called Collusion, failed miserably when asked the direct question, was there collusion? He couldn't answer it. I think what happened is that Luke Harding looked at his book sales, noticed a decline, and published this unsourced BS article that was so poorly assembled, even Chris Hayes expressed a little bit of skepticism towards it. Chris Hayes. the guy whose paycheck revolves around Russia, 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 he expressed some skepticism towards this article. It was very mild skepticism, but it was there. And I thought noteworthy. So anyway, that came out Tuesday. We talked about it. Here's a little follow-up. And here's an example of how it seems like they're already given a little bit of distance. This is from Politico. Did someone plant a story tying Paul Manafort to Julian Assange? So Russians tricked Luke Harding. He's the victim here, you guys. A bombshell report in The Guardian, an unsourced report in The Guardian on Tuesday claimed Paul Manafort met Donald Trump. This was echoed by the rest of the corporate media. None of them had any sources or evidence besides this poorly sourced Guardian article. Because that's how propaganda works. Okay, so this is, if this is real, it's a big deal. All right. Luke Harding and Dan Collins, the reporters behind the Guardian story, do not name their sources. They claim to have multiple, and they write that they have seen an internal document from Ecuador's intelligence service listing Paul Manafort, by the way, they misspelled his name, as a visitor to the Ecuadorian embassy. Manafort, for his part, of course, says this is all not true. While the immediate reaction to the story was a collective wow, speak for yourself. Mine was sigh, big time. It is fair to take a step back and remain wary, you think. Rather than being the bombshell smoking gun, perhaps the report is something else entirely, a disinformation campaign. Yes, it is a disinformation campaign, but not how this article is suggesting it is. Is it possible someone planted this story as a means to discredit the journalist? So this is a conspiracy inside of a conspiracy. This is getting into, Russiagate is getting into a conspiracy theory matrix at this point. And nobody has a problem with this. All right, a number of parties in the Trump-Russia circus have an interest in discrediting the media. Russian President Vladimir Putin has solidified his power in Russia by systemically squashing the free press and controlling the message through friendly media outlets, including the likes of RT and Sputnik. Trump, too, has consistently shouted, okay. Harding is likely a major target for anyone wrapped in Russia's, we need to target this guy who wrote this book. This guy who wrote this book, he failed miserably in real news interview, so he's doing a good job failing on his own. But we need to target him more. Let's send him fake story. Like, are you kidding me? So this person is claiming that Russia tricked Harding and Collins. Someone in Russia tricked Harding, and they sent him, by the way, a lot of these Russian memes that apparently sank the 2016 election were in poorly written English. They had cartoon memes. So apparently, I guess someone sent Luke Harding a cartoon of Bernie with rainbow abs, and they said, hey, Manafort went with Assange. And Luke Harding was like, yes! I have my smoking gun. And he published it. And then other people, you realize people are making up conspiracies about conspiracies. And nobody has done anything. This is 2 years and counting. Politico published this with a straight face. This guy suggested Russia must have tricked Luke Harding. And it's saying, if this story's false, they're already preparing you for it to be false. Like, the article goes on to be like, if this story's false. I mean, this isn't The Onion. This is supposed to be real news. So, maybe what happened is Russia tricked Luke Harding. Not Luke Harding is a fake journalist desperately seeking his 15 minutes of fame. And he got it. He has a best-selling book. The book is called Collusion. And if you ask him where there's collusion, he can't answer it. Doesn't make you go out and want to get that book. Get it from Amazon. And now they're saying, oh, it's not his fault. Russia tricked him. What are they basing that off of? Nothing. There's nothing in that article that says Luke Harding was somehow tricked by Russia to publish this story. They're just speculating it. This is considered news. And again, if there's any evidence at any point I mean, you see how this is stretching and absolutely ridiculous. It's a conspiracy inside of a conspiracy. And this is what the news has talked about nonstop for 2 years. Nonstop for 2 years. And they're already preparing you that Mueller's not going to have anything. There's not going to be some smoking gun. Wow. So anyway, I want to do a follow-up there. That's our follow-up. Edwin, shout out to Edwin real quick as I'm scrolling the timeline. Edwin, and I just fucked up his name. Edwin just had to evacuate because of the fire. Wow, Edwin, I don't know if you're in Southern California, but if you are, by all means, man, please come out to the show tonight as my guest. Please. It's the least I can do. All right, let's see here. By the way, shout out to our sponsor, ZT.com, ZHITEA.com. Their tea, it kind of rules. Really does. You know, this is a cup of tea day, I gotta say. Especially here, you know, here in SoCal where it's raining. Yeah. You know. So, here's an article, Crack House Librarian shares. That's a funny screen name. This is exemplary of how the U.S. deals with mental health. People are killing themselves on a bridge, so let's send people with guns that would stop them. All right. So here's an article that takes us up to San Francisco. And this is from the LA Times. Fewer suicides occurring at Golden Gate Bridge. Officials say the number of people jumping to their deaths from the Golden Gate Bridge has decreased thanks to the addition of 5 officers whose job it is to spot people trying to commit suicide. Wow. The Marin... Okay, screw you, Los Angeles Times. I am totally not interested. The Marin Independent Journal reports the Bridge Patrol team last year assisted 245 people who presented a risk of suicide, and that there were 33 confirmed suicides. In 2016, there were 184 successful interventions and 39 suicides. The extra 5 officers brought the span security detail to 36 people. More than 1,400 people have jumped to their deaths since the bridge opened in 1937. So, and I think the person sending this article makes a good point. Hey, we need to decrease suicides. Let's get some officers with guns on the scene. And it doesn't go into detail in the article about these officers, but I have a feeling they're just cops. Cops, by the way, aren't necessarily equipped to deal with mental health emergencies. They're not mental health professionals. Why not just have, like, if you're going to do something like that, first of all, the answer is to actually have mental health services more easily available. The answer is single-payer healthcare and universal healthcare. Oh, and a better economy, so that people aren't crippled by our economic situation. You know how expensive San Francisco is one of the most expensive places in the world, and there's huge wealth disparity in that town because big tech came in and pushed the creative class out. I don't know how anyone is poor in San Francisco. And I live in Los Angeles. But if you asked me, hey, how can someone be poor and live in Los Angeles? I could tell you. That. You know, I'm in the creative class. I'm a comedian. I can tell you that it is possible to be poor and live in Los Angeles. You know, various things from, there is cheap housing if you look for it hard enough. Roommates, you know, there is a lot of work in the entertainment industry. You can usually find some opportunities that'll help you get by. I mean, San Francisco, I have no idea how you can be poor and live in San Francisco. A lot of San Francisco is rent controlled. A fair amount of it, that is true. But your rent is still, like, insane. It's... And again, we're talking degrees. I don't know how anyone. So, alleviating economic hardships would be a better answer. Having mental health services more easily available, that's a better answer. But they're like, hey, here's a feel-good story. We got cops on a bridge. We got some officers on a bridge. Less people kill themselves. If you need to put people on the bridge, why not have, like, licensed psychologists on a bridge? They can have a little stand set up, kind of like Lucy, like, need help, 5 cents. And it could be like, need help, free. Because maybe the city could pay for it. And they're just sitting there. And they're just sitting there. They're psychologists. They feel this is a noble thing. They're probably not getting paid as much as people in private practice, assuming. But their job, they sit on the bridge. Maybe that would be something that, you know, the city could fund. You could kind of get maybe some people that are psychologists that are kind of soft retired, but they're still a little active. They could do like 1 or 2 days a week, get paid. You know, they're not getting paid a ton, but they're getting paid something fair. And they sit there. And if somebody, and they're like, hey, you look like you're going to do something. Why don't you come and talk first? Just come and talk. Just come and talk. Why not do that? Because guns are cooler. Is that why? Thanks for sharing. That is an interesting article, and I like the perspective on it. So thank you for sharing that. Crack House Librarian. Which, by the way, you guys know me. Shout out to libraries. I actually need to get to my local library. Yeah, I need to get to my local library. All right. This is from Gastron, and this is from The Guardian. Whose credibility has been hurt as of Tuesday. But, you know, there's still some good writers with that outlet, and they still report good on other things. But so let's go to this article. Brazil reneges on hosting UN climate talks under Bolsonaro presidency. Reversal comes 2 months after the country agreed to host the COP25 conference in 2019, and 1 month after the far-right climate skeptic won election. Climate skeptic should not be a thing. Climate denier is what this should be called. Stop it with the bullshit apologist language. Brazil has abandoned plans to host the crucial UN climate talks in 2019 amid growing signs of the anti-internationalists of new government formed by President-elect Jair Bolsonaro. The Foreign Ministry announced the reversal in a message to Patricia Espinosa, Executive Secretary of the UN Convention on Climate Change, according to the O Global News website. 2 months after winning the bid to host the conference in 2019, the note said Brazil would withdraw its offer to stage the event due to the transition in government and budget restrictions. Sure. The decision is a blow to global efforts to prevent dangerous levels of global warming. By ignoring, all right, so this is the Climate Observatory NGO, what they have to say about this. By ignoring the climate agenda, the federal government also fails to protect the population, hit by a growing number of extreme weather events. These, unfortunately, do not cease to occur just because there is some doubt in their causes. It is not the first and certainly will not be the last bad news of Jair Bolsonaro for that area. There you go. He's a climate change denier. And I'm sure the budget is absolute nonsense. Like, yeah, we're going to host this in 2019 if we can afford it. We're not going to. We have no way of projecting that far out. We're just a government. I don't understand how. I mean, I do understand, but it amazes me that we're still like that somehow politicians that deny climate change can hold office. And it's a failure of messaging, especially here in the United States. I can't speak as much directly to Brazil because I don't live there. But in the United States, it's like we have this corporate media where they just brought on Rick Santorum recently to talk about climate change. Rick Santorum. A guy who still thinks there are weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. A guy who probably thinks that praying can cure diseases. They brought on that guy to talk about climate change. They bring on creationists to talk about climate change. That's what the corporate media does all the time. Instead of saying, yeah, this is peer-reviewed science, about 97% on board with it. The other 3% are probably funded by fossil fuel companies. But it's not just going on in the United States, it's going on in Brazil too. So when you get a leader like that, it's no surprise. I mean, just like Trump bailed out of Paris. So it's a bummer to see that going on in Brazil. All right, this is our last one, and then I'm going to go to the chat, and then we're going to dismount for the week. This is from Long Beach. You think you have a good idea, but there will always be detractors. That's the disclaimer Long Beach gives here. Elon Musk's LA freeway tunnel won't see the light of day. Okay, interesting. The West Side Tunnel was the result of Musk's Twitter rants about his 17-mile commute along the 405. Elon Musk's Boring Company announced Tuesday that it has pulled the plug on a project that appeared to be nothing more than a subterranean pipe dream. The company announced Tuesday that it was withdrawing plans unveiled in 2017 for a high-tech transportation tunnel below the 405 freeway along Los Angeles' west side. In a statement, the Boring Company claimed the withdrawal was a result of the settlement with community groups. Those groups sued Los Angeles over its plan to exempt the project from environmental review requirements. The parties, the Boring Company, Brentwood Residents Coalition, Sunset Coalition, and Wendy Sue Rosen, have amicably settled the matter of Brentwood Residents Coalition and the City of Los Angeles. And a statement by a Boring spokesperson said, the Boring Company is no longer seeking the development of the test tunnel and instead seeks to construct an operational tunnel at Dodger Stadium. Why couldn't they just do an environmental review? Like, why wouldn't they just do... You know, I'm not super familiar with this issue, to be honest, which I wish I was more, because I do live in Los Angeles. But why wouldn't they just agree to the environmental review? And what makes Dodger Stadium so different? Let's see if it tells us. I'm not sure if it tells us. The Boring proposal is called the Dugout Loop High-Speed Transportation Project. It would ferry game day fans from the subway lines of Vermont Avenue to the ballpark 3 miles away via a fleet of autonomous, all-electric, modified Tesla Model X platforms from Musk's automaker Tesla. It has support of Eric Garcetti. The West Side Tunnel was the result of Musk's Twitter rant. Okay, we got that. Musk's plans appear to outrun reality. In 2017, a video posted by the Boring Company in 2017 demonstrated a concept by which vehicles would descend into tunnels and then move along pathways. Okay, so they're not going to do this anymore, but they are going to do something at Dodger Stadium. Because, you know, if you can help people get to their baseball games. I'm not a baseball guy, so I've actually never been to Dodger Stadium. I don't get baseball, admittedly. I find it boring. I don't get it. I'm more of a soccer guy, which I know is a little bit atypical in the US of A, but that's how I am. Hockey's my favorite. But, yeah, I'm not super familiar with this. I don't understand. You know, Elon Musk, I'm not, you know, there's certain things he says that I'm like, oh. There's other things he says where I'm like, ugh. So, you know, I'm not a huge connoisseur on the guy, to be honest. Like I'm not. But I don't understand why they just couldn't do, like, an environmental review. Like, why was that such a bad idea? Like, why couldn't they? I mean, my first reaction would be, I guess they were worried that they might not pass it. They might deem that it wasn't environmentally sound. And, well, I love the idea of transportation solutions. If it's not sound from an environmental standpoint, we got to plan something else. And there's so many things we could do here in Los Angeles. First of all, we have an existing subway system that is grossly underutilized in Los Angeles. So we already have. My first thing would be like, well, why don't we try to do more with what we already have? People don't use it because it's not the easiest thing to use, and it's not the most efficient thing. Why not try to invest a little more in that? Why not have, first of all, a marketing campaign so more people are hip to it? Second of all, like make the rails faster. Maybe talk to Tesla about something like that. Maybe more efficient, Why not do that? Why not have a better rail system above ground? Why can't we have like an extensive streetcar system like San Francisco? Maybe there are some terrain issues. I don't know. I'm not a city planner or anything close to it. But I just seem like if these tunnels, if an environmental review means the death of these tunnels, well, why not look into solutions that kind of are already things that have already been done that we could maybe do, that other cities have done? I don't know the answer to that question, but I guess we're just going to have to wait until Elon Musk gets pissed off in traffic again. Those are my thoughts. Let's go to see what you guys are saying, and then we're going to end the show. Hey, Jimmy. What's up? Good to see you, man. I hope you have a safe flight. LA has a train system. Michael Fay is an employer caught defrauding wages of over $500,000 and got a pardon? Ooh. Okay. All right. Oh, a bunch of you guys are saying this. Oh, yeah, it looks like it. Okay. Jilly says, Ron, you've been invaded by bots. Yeah, clearly I did. Oh, this is such a bummer. This is like... oh, man. Wow, I have no idea how something like this can happen. But surely it did. People are saying this Michael Fay thing. I don't even know what it's about or what it means. And they keep posting it. And now people are dropping off the thing. And these are copycat accounts, yeah. Hi, Pro Center. Good to see you. And it's really you. Yeah, we're getting spammed. I don't know how this happened. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Karen. Well, guys, I'm sorry about this. I usually like to talk to everybody at the end, and we kind of talk about stuff, but I don't know. We've been invaded by bots, and I don't know what to do about it. All right. Guys, I'm just going to dismount. I'm really sorry about this. What a bummer way to end the week. I don't know how this happened. What's up, Daniel? Good to see you. Hi, Kayline. Hi, Crack House Librarian. It's a troll run, but it's a bunch of different people. And now they're gone. Mr. Gone, good to see ya. Awesome show at Hambones in Pittsburgh, by the way. Thank you very much. Get yourself a moderator. I know, I need that. But, yeah. All right. Well, I don't know who started this, but it's a bummer to see it. I don't even know how you start something like this. Like, I don't know how you just, like, did someone just start to copy and paste it, and then a bunch of people kept doing it. Okay. Crack House Librarian. I started it and I stopped it. Wow, okay. So I should not have opened your article. Yeah, I guess I gotta block them. All right, guys. I blocked them. All right. All right. All right, guys. We gotta go. All right. All right, guys. We gotta go. I will see you all later.